Welcome to the 16th day of December, 2021. This Day Weather Podcast, thankfully, is not going to be talking about a high wind event today. Boy, yesterday was wild, wasn't it? Just a crazy day all over the central and western United States. But the system that was responsible for the high wind event and just the tumultuous weather that we had yesterday is all the way now into the upper Great Lakes and moving away. So we're going to be left with some chilly weather. We're going to see another little round of mountain snow coming later today, tonight, and into early Friday. So good news for you skiers and snowmobilers and good news for the snowpack. Snow fell in the high country yesterday with that front. They'll get a little bit more later today through early Friday. So we're starting to build a base on those ski slopes and those cross-country ski trails, getting a little bit better. We do have a break in the weather Saturday through Tuesday. Now, I know some of you are starting to ask about what holiday travel weather is like in the region. Well, we can tell you with a high degree of confidence that Saturday through Tuesday, we don't see any significant weather. It's going to be a little chilly, but we don't see anything crazy. So if you're going to travel somewhere, we're going to have some pretty decent weather. Now, the Pacific Northwest, California, the West Coast will still be kind of stormy, but the Intermountain West and the Plain States, not much going on Saturday through Tuesday. Now, for Christmas Eve Friday, Christmas Day Saturday, it does look like it'll trend colder. The question is, will it get colder with snow? Don't know yet. We'll have to watch, but we're keeping an eye on it. But we do expect the weather to change some as we get to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. In fact, I think we're going to start to see snow in the mountains Wednesday into Thursday, then maybe some on the plains by Friday and Saturday. Something we'll keep an eye on, and we'll keep updating you as we go through. Comet Leonard, we talked about this a while ago. Comet Leonard now is showing up in the evening sky. It's a really easy target because it's by Venus, and I'll show you how to find it because right now it's putting on a pretty good show. Lots of photos coming in. No more pretty sunrises and sunsets. There's lots of photos like this from yesterday all across the West, whether it was Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa. Just crazy with blowovers and trailers and semis having problems, trees getting blown over. This was a very common sight along Interstate 25 yesterday. The list of high wind gusts is too long to show you, folks. It would take forever to go through the whole report. But needless to say, we have pages and pages of wind events that were more than 70 and 80 miles an hour in the region. And unfortunately, we had situations like this as that front moved on through. Now, Comet Leonard, it's showing up in the evening. Now, when it first showed up, it was a very early morning comet. Now it's showing up in the evening. It's gotten its closest approach to Earth, but it's still really close, and it has really brightened up considerably. So for you astrophotographers out there, even if you have a common DSLR camera on a tripod with a telephoto lens, you have a really good opportunity to be able to see it. Now I'm going to go and step through some nights coming on up. Now this is for the night of the evening, rather the evening of the 18th. I may have put these out of order, sorry about that, but this is for the evening of the 18th. Just find Venus, which is a really easy target, looking to the southwest just after sundown, which is, as we know, is pretty early right now. And if you look to the left of Venus, you're going to find the comet. This is the cloud forecast for tonight. So tonight, not looking really good. The cloud cover tonight, not looking good. Now, this is for the 17th. This is for tomorrow. You can see Comet Leonard is, again, right by Pluto and Venus. Venus is what you really want to look for. So just south of Venus, look for the comet. The forecast for cloud cover tomorrow, not bad. There are some high-level clouds there, but I think a lot of the region may have a chance to see it. And again, here it is for the 18th again. So this would be Saturday. And you can see it. It's just to the left of Venus. So get out, take a view. What's great about this comet is that you can see it without having to get up in the middle of the night. So you're going to need to pick a night, probably tomorrow or Saturday, where the cloud conditions look the best. And here's the Saturday forecast for cloud cover. Colorado, central and southern Wyoming, this whole area there could have a really good viewing opportunity. One thing I need to remind you folks of, that La Niñas bring extremes. La Niñas bring wind events more than normal. La Niñas bring flips in the weather pattern as we alternate between phase 1 and phase 2. We're not done with the wild weather. There's going to be more wild weather this winter, as La Nina has really intensified. See how these sea surface temperatures have really solidified those darker colors. See the purple here? Those darker green colors. La Nina is going through a little bit of a robust pickup before it starts to fade later this winter. But this is really, really impacting weather patterns across the Pacific. So is this cold pool up here in the Gulf of Alaska. So when we have La Ninas, especially when you go through the solar minimum, like we just have the solar minimum reached in 2020, you tend to have extreme events. You tend to have these wild swings in the weather. And you tend to have storm tracks just like this. And boy, this is really what we have seen so far this winter season. You know, this storm track right here, basically responsible for the tornado outbreak in the Midwest, Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee this past weekend. And this is a pattern that we're likely going to see here in the coming days as we look forward through the upcoming weekend. And as we go through, right now, we're going to go back to a phase 1 as we get into the weekend and early next week, and then maybe go back into phase 2 as we get into Christmas Eve and Christmas weekend. Alternating back and forth between these phases is what gives you these wild La Nina swings. And unfortunately, in between these swings, you can have these really strong high wind events. As we go through today, this is what the upper level pattern is like. Now, I did get an email. Someone asked a question. It was a good question. What do all these colors mean on the map? First of all, the map that I'm showing you is called the 500 millibar chart, which represents the atmosphere at 18,000 feet. This is where a lot of our weather that we live and breathe and live in is generated, at that 18,000 foot level. Simply put, these colors represent temperature. And the brighter colors represent warmer air. The darker, colder looking colors represent colder air. And what happens is when we look at a 500 millibar chart, we tend to see the shape of weather patterns. We tend to see the troughs and we see the trends of ridges. So it makes sense. The further south you go, the warmer the colors. The further north you go, the colder the colors. So as we go back and forth between the changing colors with these troughs and ridges is what you're going to see as you observe the weather and track the weather. You'll be able to relate these colors and how the weather patterns change and how they affect you. So the 18,000 foot level is the level that I look at and is most helpful to show folks where the storms are, where the fronts are, where the ridges are. So as we go into Friday afternoon, here we go. We see a wavy pattern here, and this is the front that's going to come through tonight and Friday. This front is going to bring mountain snow, colder air in behind it, and you can see, while it's not going to be a lot of precipitation, the Colorado and Wyoming mountains, Montana mountains, back into the Pacific Northwest, the Sierra Nevada again, the northern Wasatch, well, there's going to be a little bit of snow here over the next 72 hours or so. But again, as you can see on the plains, nada, nothing, which has been the case. And if you look at what the snowfall forecast is looking like, this is why we're going to get a little more snow on the ski slopes, the cross-country ski trails, and the snowmobile trails. Another nice shot of snow for the Sierra Nevada. Many parts of the Sierra Nevada had 5 to 6 feet of snow over the last 48 to 72 hours. Temperatures are going to be pretty cold behind this front. This is for Friday afternoon. Temperatures are going to be cold. It's going to be pretty chilly out there as this next front goes on through. Then as we take a look, this is for Monday. This is back to phase 1 of La Nina. The westerly flow comes back in. That brings mild Pacific air into the lower 48 states. So this is why Saturday through probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of next week, it's going to be mild, and generally speaking, no significant weather of any consequence will be coming on through. But notice what happens here, and notice what happens up here as we go forward. As we go forward, we're going to see some changes due to a typhoon that's now heading into the Philippines. Typhoon Ray heading into the Philippines, and those of you who regularly watch the podcast, you know that when we get western typhoons this time of year, as they move west, then curve back up to meet the jet stream, that causes the jet stream to buckle. And then we go into phase 2 of La Nina, and there you go. This is by Christmas Eve, Friday morning. This low retrogrades back into the Pacific. We have a big high build up in the Aleutians, and then there you go. The atmosphere, the jet stream then corresponds. It changes as that typhoon energy gets in the jet stream and we get a buckle. So that's a lot of cold air up there. Therefore, as we get to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and beyond, is when a lot of the lower 48 states will start to trend colder. The question will be, is that cold going to be associated with a lot of snow or not, or is it just going to get colder? And that's something that we have to sort out. If you were to look at the 10-day forecast for precipitation, look at all the bright colors in the mountains. So the mountains, again, west of the divide, this is going to be a very productive pattern for the mountains and the snowpack, but you get east of the Continental Divide, look at this snow hole. I mean, this is amazing. We talked about this yesterday. Downsloping winds, west to east winds, downslope off the Front Range of Colorado, and you just don't have any precipitation that falls. Now, could we have something come through? This is through next Saturday. Could we have something Friday and Saturday that brings snow out into the Front Range of Colorado, Nebraska, and Wyoming, and Kansas? Yes, maybe. But the modeling continues to show that downsloping pattern. So for those of you along the Front Range of Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, into the plains here, if you're wondering why it's just not snowing, these strong La Nina-dominated jet stream winds are going to funnel the moisture into the mountains, but you can't get the moisture to come over the Continental Divide until you slow down a storm that can bring the counterclockwise flow, that can bring the upslope against the mountains and make it snow on the plains. This is a classic La Nina signature, and this is why we continue to be most concerned about this area of dryness growing during the winter season. But notice California, the Pacific Northwest, and the Central and Northern Rockies, the higher elevations along and west of the divide, well, they're going to do pretty good with precipitation. So we're going to see drought relief in this area right here in the coming weeks, while the drought conditions here, unfortunately, are going to get worse. Have yourself a good Thursday. We'll update you tomorrow.